Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. I am so happy to see you. Happy Tuesday. You know what day it is. You know what time it is. This is SOS. You're watching Sex Save Our Sex Lives, saving our sex lives one bedroom at a time. This is what happens when you've had a crazy, crazy long day. Welcome, you guys. I'm so excited to talk about this subject tonight. I have a feeling that some of my sisters might be a little upset with me tonight, but it's okay. You'll be back. You'll be back next week. But I'm really excited about talking about this topic tonight, which is weaponizing sex. This is something that has been going on for generation after generation after generation. And I want us to break the cycle. I really want us to stop the war in the bedroom. And I want us to get on one accord. We're teammates. We need alliances, right? We need to make sure that we are on the same page as much as humanly possible. So, I want to know where you are streaming from. Drop that in the chat. Let me know where you are around the world so I can shout you out. I'm excited about doing that. So, we're going to get into this topic. I mean, I'm ready. I'm here, like guns blazing. Let's do it. And I know if you want to come for me, do what you need to do. Put it in the comments and we'll hash it out. Make sure you put your questions in there if you have any about this content questions or comments. Please feel free to do so because I like when I'm getting feedback from you live. So go ahead and drop it in there. Like I said, I'm here for it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. But before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know that you still have an opportunity to sign up for Last Chance Weekend. Last Chance Weekend. So we will have a quick commercial and then we'll come back and then we will dive into this subject of weaponizing sex. All right. Be right back, you guys. Don't go anywhere. All right, you guys, welcome back. Welcome back again. You're watching SOS, where I am saving sex lives one bedroom at a time. Tonight, we're talking about weaponizing sex. And I'm telling you, it's a hot topic. It literally is a hot topic for sure. So let's get right in. Let's get right into it. Where do you see it? Where do you see this? Where have you heard this? Where have there been examples blatantly put out there into the atmosphere? Social media. That is definitely one place where you see it. People weaponizing sex. You see it crop up from time to time in the media. Also, toxic relationships. Subtle though. Subtly toxic relationships. Manipulative relationships and abusive relationships. You see it in abusive relationships that rely on psychological tactics rather than like brute force, right? For the people to take their shots at one another. And so this is a way, honestly, of trying to get some type of control, right? Some type of control. All right, so now we're going to talk about what it looks like. What does weaponizing sex look like? And power statements, power statements. So I'm saying avoid using power statements. What are power statements? Okay, well, he's not getting none tonight. I just can't sleep with her. Maybe if she tries a little harder around the house, I might feel more inclined to have sex with her. Maybe if she took better care of herself, then I would be more inclined or feel more inclined to have sex with her. Maybe if he would help out with the kids or help out with the laundry or help out with the dishes, then I would feel more inclined to have sex. So, power statements, you get mad at your spouse for something, and then the go to is to withdraw sex or to refuse to have sex with your spouse. Like, those are power statements when you make comments like that. And even, when you say, well, if you want to get some, you better do blah, blah, blah. So, see, that comes off like manipulation. Comes off like manipulation. And that is the thing that we definitely want to avoid doing. We do not want to use those power statements. And again, this kind of goes back to control. I think a lot of times when this comes up, particularly in women, when they are using power statements, it's because they feel a lack of power. They feel a lack of control. And it's like the one thing that I can't control your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors. I can't control necessarily how you choose to treat me. But what I can control is my body and what I do with my body. So a lot of times this is something that women will use again to try to have some control over what's going on in their relationship. And I've said this oftentimes, when women are satisfied and they're feeling fulfilled in a relationship, like, you typically won't have any issues with the intimacy, right? And them wanting to be sexual, unless there's something else going on. And we've talked about that in another episode, reasons why wives say no to sex. You can pull up that episode and you can watch that. But as long as, none of those things are happening, if she's feeling fulfilled and satisfied in a relationship, you typically don't have to worry about there being an issue with lack of sex. All right. So the second thing, sex is not a transaction. I hear this practice of weaponizing sex justified a lot of times with, like, no one owes you sex. And so then the obvious reply to the person in question should be, this is true, but no one owes you faithfulness and loyalty. We can throw these daggers at each other. We can use these weapons of our words and our will to try to get what it is that we want from our partners and from our significant others. But at the end of the day, sex is not a transaction, right? It is something that is meant to be fulfilling, something that is meant to be enjoyable, pleasurable. And so do not make it a transactional process. The moment one person in a relationship begins to feel like they are entitled to dictate your sex life as a couple, is the moment that you start thinking like, I need to take that power from this person, and I might need to reconsider whether or not this is the person who I really want to be with, because it's not a transaction. Again, it should be mutually satisfying, enjoyable, pleasurable. There should be consent on both parts, not just one person wanting to do it. If the other person doesn't, then we're not having sex. Like, it needs to be consensual as well. And so I just wonder, again, where this thought process and this philosophy came from, that it's a transaction, right? That it's an exchange. I don't know when that shifted and when that changed, but I know, again, that it's been going on for a really long time. And I think about how women, a lot of women, have been taught, have been conditioned, have been trained that the way that they are able to get things that they want from their husbands or from their partners is with sex. Like, literally, there are jokes about it, but like, people are serious about this type of thing where it's like, oh, you want that new bag? You want a new outfit? You want a new pair of shoes? Is something you want to do? Okay, wait until when you having sex, or like right after, Right after the big O, then you ask for what you want and you'll get whatever you want. And there are men who've even co-signed and agreed, like, yep, you're right. But where did that come from? Like, where did that stem from? That made sex transactional, right? I do this for you, then you do this for me. And that's not the way that it was designed to be. I'm just saying. All right. Never expect sex 100% of the time. This is something for sure that I know happens with couples in relationships, right? So while we're devout and we are unwavering in our commitment to the relationship, we should never expect sex 100% of the time. People get sick, people get hurt, they have bad days, they have bad moods, things happen, life happens, and all of that literally can be a barrier or prevent you guys from being able to engage in intercourse or any type of sexual activity, depending on what's going on. God forbid, one partner gets into a car accident and somehow they are incapable of having sex. Like, are you not going to remain loyal to them until either the situation changed or one person like transitioned? Or would you have an open, honest conversation with your spouse? Right? Like, I totally would stay, but if that's not your situation, that's a conversation that you have to have with your spouse or your partner. And then, you got to ask yourself also whether or not your partner is supportive of your needs, and are you supportive of their needs? Like, I don't know where the humanity went as it pertains to sex. Like, it's turned into this barbaric thing of just selfishness and wanting our own individual pleasure, where we sometimes lose focus of what's important to our partner, right? And there are times where there will be limitations, there will be problems, but that should not stop your support for your spouse or for your partner. Because, even when it's the most inconvenient time, but we have to be there for them and they should be there for us. And we hope that somehow we can compromise or meet in the middle. But the moment someone communicates that they are willing to just disregard any of our needs, they're communicating that our needs are nothing more than just this pawn in the game of control. And again, a lot of this has to do with control. And so it starts off very small and eventually it evolves and it becomes slow, quiet, and all too often permanent disgust for the other person. There's a hatred that actually forms beneath the fake smile. And so the reality is this: loyalty and independence are like two sides of the same coin, just like loyalty and respect. And we cannot be truly loyal if we're dependent on somebody, because our loyalty is then conditional and it's not voluntary. And so our loyalty also can be taken for granted if it's given under the condition of dependence, and therefore it will not be respected. And loyalty must always be respected, and it should mean something. And so when you're in a healthy relationship that is void of any bondage, there should not be control or manipulation. It's all about consent. It's all about our level of attraction to one another, respect, and acknowledging each other's wants and needs. That is what's most important, right? And again, being reasonable about your expectations of the frequency of sex. All right. So hopefully, this makes sense to you. If it resonates with you, let me know. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back to wrap this up. I want to tell you about some signs that you need to look for if you're in a toxic relationship. So do not go anywhere. Be right back.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. Again, you're watching SOS, Saving Our Sex Lives, one bedroom at a time. Tonight, we're talking about weaponizing sex. And I really just kind of walked you guys through three of the main things that we definitely want to make sure we are avoiding so that we don't weaponize sex. First one was power statements. We want to make sure we're not using those, that we're not treating sex like a transaction, and that we're not expecting sex 100% of the time. So how do you know if the relationship that you are in is toxic? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? I am going to tell you right after I shout out Cali Power Couple, Trill Love, and Christina Jackson. Hello, Virginia, Oklahoma, and Cali in the house. That's what I'm talking about. So, yes, the relationship being toxic. You want to ask yourself the following questions. Is this person trying to control me? Because again, remember, weaponizing sex is really about control. So is this person trying to control me? And if the answer is yes, you might be in a toxic relationship. Are they trying to compel me to do something that I otherwise don't, and are trying to deprive me of my needs in order to make me do what they want me to do? If the answer is yes, you may be in a toxic relationship, because that's manipulation. That is manipulation. And, it's something that you guys need to address. It's something that you need to deal with, because you're not going to be able to thrive in a toxic relationship. You're just not, because again, one of the things that I talked about before is that, it can cause permanent disgust for each other and a hatred that forms. It can turn to bitterness, resentment, and all of those things that, make for unhealthy relationships. At the same time, I want to make sure that you guys understand that these two things are not necessarily guaranteed 100% that you're in a toxic relationship, but it's definitely something for you to think about and to do some further exploration if you're feeling controlled, if you feel like the person's trying to manipulate you, and also that it's always about them. This relationship is one-sided, and you are seldom having your wants and needs met. All right, so we should never let anybody tell us that we're undeserving of sex, affection, love, care, support, and respect. We all are deserving of sex. If we're in a committed relationship, you're married, you went before the Lord. When you said I do, you said I do agree to having sex. We are all deserving of affection. We're all deserving of love, care, and kindness, support, definitely, and respect. And I love that, love and respect are in here coupled with affection and support, right? Because I've said this oftentimes, for men, one of the most important things, the most important thing that a man needs is respect. And the most important thing that a woman needs is love. And so if man, you want respect, love your wife. Wife, if you want love from your husband, respect your husband. And it's reciprocal, and it goes back and forth. So we are almost at the end of this year, you guys. It is December the 6th. We literally have, what is it? 30, nope, 25. We have 25 days, 25 days left. Oh, before this year is over. And I really am inviting you guys to take inventory. If you were a retailer and you owned your own store, your own shop at the end of the year, they do inventory. And so your marriage is a business. It's your business. And so I'm asking you to take inventory. I'm inviting you to take an orgasm audit. How many times have you orgasmed in 2022? And how many times has your partner orgasmed in 2022? Has there been a sex gap? And I want to point this out because orgasm does not always equal pleasure. So you actually can sub out orgasm for pleasure when you're doing your audit, because there are some people that biologically they just have difficulty, right? Having an orgasm. And so just because they're not having an orgasm doesn't mean that they're not having a good time. Not that doesn't automatically mean that it's not enjoyable or not pleasurable for them. So if you or your spouse have difficulty with orgasms, then you could just say pleasure. You know, how much pleasure have you had in 2022, and how much pleasure has your partner had um in 2022? And again, has there been a gap? Has there been a gap? Because if so, then that means we need to make some adjustments. There are some things we need to do differently because we want to make sure that we are pleased and also that our spouses are pleased. So, all right. So, Christina, hello, Miss Jackson. She says, when you have been married for a while, how can you start making sex a priority in your marriage? I love your question. Thank you so much. It's just like anything else that you're doing, like date night, communication, intimacy, finding ways to connect, having play days together, work days is something we talk about a lot here at Couples Academy. Like it's really important that you guys have work days and play days. And so, how can you start making it a priority? First, it starts here with a decision, right? You make up your mind that it is a priority. And if it's, it could be so many factors to this. Is it a scheduling issue? I know there are a lot of couples who, one spouse works at night and the other one works during the day. And so sometimes it's a scheduling issue. So is it that? Is it a desire issue? Um, One is it an interest issue? Do we have desire discrepancy? What are the challenges here that have prevented it from being a priority? Is it a pleasure thing? Is it that it's not fun or you're not enjoying it or it's boring? Like I'm not sure, because there's so many different factors that contribute to that. But if it's a scheduling thing, then that's a matter of just sitting down with your schedule and your spouse's schedule, like, hey, where are the gaps? Where are we overlapping? And I've said many times, sometimes you got to schedule it. And I know that's not sexy and I know that's not attractive. I get that. I understand that. But that's a part of making it a priority, that you schedule it. The more children you have and the younger they are, the more difficult it is as well. So, one of the things that I know I had to do was start making sure those children had a bedtime. By 8:30, it's a wrap. They're done. They're down. Like, you need to be in your room and you are down for the night. Okay. Because now it's grown up time. And whether we're having sex or not, it's just like I should not see or hear children after a certain point in time at night. And so that's something else. Um, if it is a desire issue and nothing has ever been done about that, or like performance issues, then that may just be a medical checkup, medical evaluation. Make sure there's nothing going on medically that may be affecting the libido or the desire. And then I said desire discrepancy. This happens very often in couples where you have one that has a high libido and the other has a low libido, and we're trying to figure out how to make that happen. And so with the lower libido person, like sometimes you literally just have to take one for the team, like because they have a drive that's so much higher than yours. And also the person with a really high drive has to be compassionate and understanding. Like we're not on the same page with our desire. But I consider it to be a challenge. Like, okay, so if you're high libido and your spouse is low libido, then I'm gonna need you to put some work in to make them excited about wanting to rise up to your level. Okay, you want them to level up, give them something to level up for. I'm just saying. So, um, all right. Claudia says, when married but scared to have sex, what can you do? So, Claudia, I am thinking that this is about infidelity. Okay, yes, I see your question. How do you forgive and move on from a spouse that cheated? And also, how can you make your sex life interesting? Okay, sis, I'm here for you. You got a lot of questions for me. Okay, so the the fear question I am not going to answer. And let me tell you why, because the fear could be for multiple reasons. The fear could be because of past trauma, past abuse. The fear could be because it hurts, it's painful. I am very, very sensitive to women specifically, men as well, but women specifically when they tell me that they're scared to have sex. And so I don't want to give you this blank, like cookie cutter answer, because depending on where the fear is coming from will dictate my response. So hopefully that makes sense. Um, but definitely, Claudia, reach out, book a session, sis. Let's get together. Let me help you work through and navigate that. How can you make your sex life interesting? So many ways. So many ways. It may be bringing toys into the bedroom. It may be role playing. It may be engaging in outer course. And I talked about that in another episode as well. So maybe you need to switch it up and stop focusing so much on genital stimulation and penetration, because again, like 75% of women do not orgasm through intercourse. That's a lot. So you got to step outside the box. You have to do things unconventional sometimes to be able to increase your pleasure level. And so if you're asking about making it more interesting, that leads me to believe that it's not interesting, or it's not as interesting as you would like it to be. So is it that you want to try new things? You want to try new positions? Um, yeah, what made you lose interest in the first place? And because there's a infidelity question attached to it, I'm guessing that that's the root of the issues with the sex. And so forgiveness is one piece. And you say move on from a spouse that cheated. It's a process. It's like real talk. It's a process. It's a journey. And it all begins here, right? With the decision that you are going to forgive. And it is a process to forgive. And you have to continue making that decision over and over again, because your flesh is going to tell you your hurt and your pain and your trauma and your PISD, post infidelity stress disorder, is going to tell you that you should not forgive. And when there has been infidelity, it does create a state of fear that they're going to do it again, fear that they're going to leave, fear that, you won't be able to recover from another betrayal. And if you allow yourself to be vulnerable again and open yourself up again and they cheat again, like, oh my God, I just think it's going to destroy me. So I understand that piece. But again, it begins with the decision that you're going to forgive. We forgive because we're forgiven. That's why you do it. And how you move on, with help, with support. This is not something I encourage anyone to do alone. You need support, you need help. Reach out, let us help you, because the reality is this: trying to do it by yourself definitely will put you in a position a lot of times where you give up, you lose hope, because you're not making progress fast enough. You're not making progress fast enough. And so that will cause one to quit, because again, you're not getting relief. And that's why you need support, right? So, the end of the day, schedule a discovery call. Let us support you. Let us help you on your journey toward healing and transformation, and like walk you through the step that you need to be able to forgive. Because again, it is a process and it's tough. Like I said, I don't recommend anybody trying to do that by themselves. Um, okay, you say you want to try new things. Okay, so I would need to know what you've already tried. And so that's why I'm saying reach out, Claudia. Let me help you, sis. Like this is like where I'm thriving. I'm like, yes, let me help you. Like, I focus a lot on infidelity recovery, and I'm here for that. I have the same love, care, compassion, and passion for that work. But this stuff is fun. Right? So reach out, Claudia. Let me help you out. Let me help you out. Cali Power Couple says infidelity definitely has had a lowering effect emotionally, for sure. For sure. Need help with the forgiveness piece? Busy guarding my heart. Yeah, I get that. I get that for sure. That once you've been hurt at that level, you are trying to protect yourself. But at the same time, let me just give you a quick analogy, right? So in guarding the heart, let's say we put up um a steel case with a lock that is impenetrable around our hearts to protect it. When we do that, not only is love unable to go out, but we're also incapable of receiving love as well. And you're missing out on the fullness that God desires for you to have in your relationship when you won't forgive. And I've said this before, forgiveness is in three parts. I'll break this down. And I knew you guys were going to do this. You're going to drop these questions right before it's time to sign off. So I'm going to give you this and then I got to go because I got to save my own bedroom. But forgiveness is in three parts, you guys. The first part, the easiest of the three, is to ask God for forgiveness. And while it may be challenging, I'm not saying that it's easy, but I'm saying it's the easiest out of the three parts to ask God for forgiveness. And that is because we can't see him, right? And it's like the Bible tells us that the Lord is faithful and just to forgive, right? So when we pray and we ask God for forgiveness, like he gives it to us as long as we have it a sincere heart, when we do. And you pray your prayer and you go on about your business, right? But the second part, your spouse, asking for forgiveness from your spouse, more difficult than God. Why? Because they're around you all the time. The only way you can really get away from them is when you go to work or maybe when you go to sleep, but they're always there for the most part. And they can give you forgiveness one day and take it back the next. So it's more challenging. But I will tell you, the most difficult of them all is forgiving ourselves. And that's whether you're the betrayed or the betrayer in all three of these scenarios, because in a marriage, because no one is perfect, that means we both have done things that we need to get forgiveness for, that we need to ask for forgiveness for. And we are the most difficult ones to forgive because we can't get away from us, even in our dreams, right? We're there and we're around ourselves all the time. But when we won't forgive our spouses and we won't forgive ourselves, we literally are like spitting in God's face. Because if he has forgiven us and he's cast our sins into the sea of forgiveness, who are we to continue holding on to it, to that unforgiveness? So you forgive because you've been forgiven and it honors God and you will be blessed. And I would rather be on the right side with God and forgive than be on the wrong side holding on to my unforgiveness. Nothing good will ever come from it. So I hope you guys learned something tonight. I hope that, you took away something from this tonight, and wait until next week. That's all I got to say. But you all, thank you so, so much for watching. I so appreciate you all being here, and I hope to see you on next Tuesday. Don't forget, last chance weekend coming up this weekend. We have like 1 or 2 spots left. If you can make that happen, come on down. I'll be there. Jeff will be there. Hassani will be there. Danielle will be there. So meet us there. All right. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night again. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. This is SOS. My name is LaKeesha Hines, and I will see you next week. Bye, you guys.